Here we will see string functions in SQL Server. First is write. This function returns the substring from the right of the string to a specified number of characters. General syntax is write with parameters string and number of characters, where string is a required parameter which specifies the string to extract, and number of characters is also a required parameter which specifies the number of characters to extract. If the number of characters is greater than the string, it will return whole string. For example, select write SQL server, 3 will give the output ver, since it will display the characters from right side up to 3. Next is RTRIM. This function returns a string from a given string after removing all the trailing spaces. General syntax is RTRIM with string, where string is also a required parameter which specifies the string to remove trailing spaces from that. For example, select RTRIM with SQL server and trailing spaces. When we execute this command, it will give the output SQL server only. Trailing spaces are removed from this string. Next is space. This function is used to find the string of the repeated spaces. General syntax is space with number, where number is a required parameter which specifies the number of spaces to be returned. For example, select SQL plus space 10 plus server will give the output SQL server with 10 spaces between SQL and server. Next is str. This function is used to return the character data converted from numeric data. General syntax is str with parameters number, length and decimals, where number is a required parameter which specifies the number convert to string. Length is an optional parameter which specifies the length of returning string. Default value is 10. And decimals is also optional parameter which specifies the number of decimals to be displayed in the returning string. Default value is 0. For example, select str85 plus str23 will give the output 8523. Next is stuff, which deletes a part of a string and then inserts another part into the string starting at a specified position. General syntax is stuff with parameters string, start, length, new string, where string is a required parameter which specifies the string to be modified. Start is a required parameter which specifies the position in the string to start to delete some characters. Length is a required parameter which specifies the number of characters to delete from string. And new string is a required parameter which specifies the new string to insert into the string at starting position. For example, select stuff SQL server, 1, 3 and HTML will give the output HTML server, since characters from 1 to 3 are replaced with HTML. Now we will see execution of these functions. First we will use database. First we will see write function. So select write, SQL server, 3, and when we execute this, it will display ver, which are the 3 characters from the right side of the string. Then we will execute this command with table. So select write first name, 3 from employee. Here we will display first name column also. And when we execute this, it will display last 3 characters from every record from the first name column. Then we will see RTRIM function. Select RTRIM SQL server with spaces, and when we execute this, it will return the string by removing the trailing spaces. To execute this function with table, we will give select RTRIM first name, first name from employee. When we execute this, it will display first column by trailing the spaces and second column the original column in the table. Then we will see space function. Select SQL plus space 10 plus server, and when we execute this, it will display SQL server by adding spaces between SQL and server. Now we will use this with table. So select first name plus space 10 plus last name from employee, and when we execute this, it will display the data by adding first name and last name and separating them with 10 spaces. Next we will see str function. So select str of 85 plus str of 23, When we execute this, it will display 8523. If we will execute this without converting to string, it will display addition of 85 and 23, and when we convert it to string, it will concatenate the two numbers. Now you will see stuff function. So select stuff SQL server, comma 1, comma 3, comma HTML, and when we execute this, it will display HTML server, since first three strings are replaced with HTML. We will use this with table. Select stuff first name, comma 1, comma 2 with AA, comma first name from employee, and when we execute this, it will display first column by replacing the first two characters with AA, and second column is original column from the table.